Joining us to talk about the ANC and the latest events in Venezuela, Thembisa Fakude is an international relations analyst, watches our politics very closely as well. Thembisa, good afternoon to you. The South African Communist Party has always strongly supported the Maduro government, the Chavista movement. The ANC, pretty much the same. And what we're seeing now, as one would, I suppose, expect, is that both parties are absolutely furious with the United States.
Yes, and it is expected, of course, that they'll be furious. And it's at the same time, you know, their comrades, as the ambassador has said, they share a number of platforms, international platforms, including the Solidarity International and others, where they continue to work towards a just and a socialist world. So it's expected that they would have done what they've done. But I don't think the rhetoric that we've heard from both the ANC and SACP will reach the ears of Donald Trump. Yes, they'll certainly reach the ears of the embassy in South Africa, but there's so many other countries in the world at the moment, platforms and organizations bigger in number and size than the ANC and the SACP that have condemned what happened in Venezuela, and it's addition to those noises, but I don't think they'll really impact in any way or form or push any position that will seek to be releasing President Maduro and his wife.
I was very struck by a quote that Trump's Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller, gave to CNN last night, and I thought, let me just quote it at length if you don't mind. He said, "He lives in the real world, quote, that is governed by strength, that is governed by force, that is governed by power," end quote. I mean, basically, he's chucking out the rules. Where, if the United States does that, where does that leave the rest of us?
Well, we're in serious trouble in terms of international politics. These are people who believe might is right. They believe they can do as they please in advancing their America First policy. They really don't care about the precedents that such actions that they continue taking against countries around the world, whether it's Iran, or it's Israel, or now Venezuela, will have an impact. The impact that these actions will have in international politics. So these are individuals who really don't care, and I think they want to destroy multilateralism. They want to destroy any semblance of international law, and they will do as they please. And the precedent that's set here is extremely dangerous because big countries can now come up with any trumped-up charges against smaller countries, and they can do what United States did, go and arrest or kidnap sitting presidents if they accuse them of any crime, as it's been the case with Nicolas Maduro. So we are living in some really serious time, and we need dangerous times, and we need serious and strong voices from those who still believe in international law and multilateralism.
It would seem to me, Thembisa, as I sort of look at the international reaction, and obviously a lot of people have reason to support the United States. So Ukraine would be an example, and sort of will support what happened in Venezuela. Or people who are very anti the Maduro government. 8 million people have left Venezuela, so you would imagine they support the end, what the United States has done. There are other countries who would as well. But many of the countries who've criticized the US all benefit from having multilateral international rules, a system of rules. Now, it's interesting, I mean, some of the bigger countries in the world, so think Russia, maybe China, if you look at how it behaves in certain parts of the Pacific, the Philippines, for example, some countries benefit when there are no rules. And those are all the powerful countries, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I mean, we all need multilateral systems. South Africa and other smaller countries, the only way we can be guaranteed a seat on the table in terms of international politics and contributing towards the agenda of shaping whether it's global democracy or international system is through a multilateral system, because there it's we're all treated equally. So if you destroy a multilateral system and you promote what is now a unipolar Trump-based or Trumpist politics, we're in a situation where there's going to be one country that's going to be dictating and ruling the world. So we have to fight for the existence and the survival of a multilateral system, because it's only guarantee that all of us as small countries have in terms of not only being protected from being bullied by bigger countries, but also it gives us a space in the table of negotiating all the global agendas, whether it's climate change or immigration and all the challenges that have been impacting the world globally. Now, without that, we are in trouble. But I think what the United States is trying to do, of course, is trying to push and ensure that it destroys multilateral systems so that they can be the only ones guaranteeing the safety and security of the world, and importantly, pushing their own agenda. But I think there's a much more bigger issue here, Stephen, and that is, Trump wants to perpetuate this war. He's already talking about other countries in Latin America, including triggering some potential conflict in Greenland with him wanting to occupy Greenland, and they seem to be very serious about that. And you know what the Constitution of the United States says, that if the war or if the country is engaged in a war, or the United States is engaged in a war, the elections must or should be postponed. So we don't know what the agenda is here. And I'm a very skeptical man, and I think Trump has got a much more bigger picture. He's want to start these wars so that when time for him to vacate power, he can stand up and say we're in a state of war, and the elections can therefore be postponed for another couple of years, and then he remains in power in the United States. And this is not really out of question at the moment, because we're dealing with some guys here in the United States who are extremely dangerous towards democracy, but importantly towards the stability of the world.
Thembisa, 6 months ago, I would have said that comment, that view is very far-fetched, but now I find myself, I'm afraid to say, nodding along and thinking, well, maybe, maybe. It does lead to a world, though, with a lot more conflict. And the history of US interventions in sovereign countries is generally failed states and lots of turmoil within them. And Venezuela will, I'm afraid to say, possibly be exactly the same.
No, certainly. And, well, they don't care. They only care about their own constituencies. In this case, the Make America Great Again. And as long as the Americans see progress and economic prosperity and stability in their country, they'll continue supporting Donald Trump, irrespective of what Donald Trump does outside America, because we all know that they're over-consumed by their own self-interest, and they don't even watch what's going on around the world. They don't watch Newzroom Afrika or any other international media for that matter. They consume what's been given to them. So what Donald Trump is doing, as far as they're concerned, it's correct, and particularly that they've been seeing the Venezuelans, at least those in diaspora, particularly in the United States, celebrating. I don't think they've shown them the pictures of thousands of Venezuelans inside Venezuela who've been protesting. In fact, what this might just do, it might just elevate the status of Nicolas Maduro, not a very nice guy, by the way, you must add, but he might just be the one, now they will have a new Nicolas Maduro who's going to be a hero in the eyes of those who looted him in the United States and those who loved him. So this is a very dangerous, but at the same time interesting political situation in Venezuela, with Nicolas Maduro seen yesterday for the first time, and you saw the protests after that increasing within Venezuela, because they're all now demanding, of course, after what Trump said in terms of taking over Venezuela, including its oil explorations. The Venezuelans are saying they've been sold a lie, and President Nicolas Maduro could just be a victim of Trump's plan to take over Venezuela.
Where does all of this leave China? Because in the past, one of the interesting things about China has been that as the sort of other kind of heavyweight superpower, I don't think we could say Russia is an economic superpower, but it is a military one, that China now is condemning what the United States has done, quite strongly, in fact, for China. They usually choose their words very carefully. And I would imagine China suddenly becomes the friend of those who want a rules-based order. In other words, this is a wonderful opportunity for China to finally have strong allies around the world.
China has never been involved in other people's business. China has always been inward looking. They always abstain when it comes to important decisions at the United Nations, whether Security Council or General Assembly, or any other platform, for example. They never put their heads out to take positions. One would have expected, for example, that when Trump came up with his tariffs, China would have, as a leader or the biggest country within BRICS, they would have taken or initiated some discussion or solidarity of some sort within BRICS nations to tackle Donald Trump's tariffs. They didn't do that. So they're not really interested in advancing global or international democracy or international law. Well, I don't expect them to do so because they are also violators of international law in various places where they continue oppressing certain people and jailing journalists and those who speak against the government of China. So they're not really into this new global thinking of advancing democracy. I don't think we should expect China to take any position in this regard. China will continue looking at its own interest. The most likely, of course, action that China might do at this point will be to advance its interest in terms of incorporating Taiwan back into mainland China. That's the only thing that we might see happening. And we might also see Donald Trump looking the other way if that does happen. But to expect that China is going to go and tackle and deal with Donald Trump and attack the United States or provide army to protect Nicolas Maduro's regime at the moment in Venezuela and Venezuela itself as a country, I think that's pie in the sky at the moment.
Thembisa, thank you. Thembisa Fakude, really do appreciate it. The international relations, and there's so much to look at with what's happening around the world and how it affects us. Let's have a look now at your headlines this lunchtime. The President Cyril Ramaphosa has called on the United Nations Security